This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Yeah, I see it. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television, Grey County. This is episode number 29. I'm Fred Wallace, a co-host along with Denise Reid, and today we've got a number of guests with us. We wanted to start, though, by telling you that coming up on the program today, we have a featured video, and that will be featuring the community service, or pardon me, the Community Foundation of Grey Bruce. Again, I'm Fred Wallace along with Denise Reid. Denise, we always like to start our programs by talking about Living Well, Giving Well, and the concept and what we're about.
Well, we're very fortunate to have Wlliard VanderPloeg with us today, and with him and Stuart Reid, they kind of put this concept together, trying to get in, to the community about what it is to live well and give well. And I think I think it's a great title, and it's how can we live well, whether that be what we do, actions, giving well, if we're donating financially, time. I think it kind of goes together, living well, giving well.
Yeah, and we encourage everyone to visit the banner that's in behind us here, and that's willpower.ca. We'll give you some great information and also give you some steps as to how you can make a charitable donation. Time to meet our guests today. We've got Kelly Haefling joining us from BMO Nesbitt Burns, along with Wlliard VanderPloeg from Brightshores Foundations. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, as I said, we had Wlliard here, which is great. Give us a little background, Wlliard, on how you came up with, and I think you had been thinking about it for quite a while and wanted it to materialize.
Yeah, so I work away at Legacy Giving and Endowment for our hospital foundations, the Brightshores Foundations, and always looking at ways to promote those ideas. And I think the original idea was to do some kind of podcast about philanthropy, community involvement. And for me, the issue around that is how to produce it, right? We subscribe to the Willpower campaign nationally. That's a relatively new project across Canada, just promoting the idea of doing something for a charity in your estate plan. And that spurred this idea again. And where we ended up was to talk with Rogers TV Grey County about doing a 30-minute show promoting those ideas, and that's been fun. I think, worthwhile experience. Oh. And thanks to the two of you for stepping in and being our hosts. You've done a great job.
Been fun.
Have you got feedback? And again, as I mentioned off the top, Wlliard, this is episode number 29, which kind of surprises the both of us, but it's gone extremely fast. Have you got good feedback from the program?
Yes. We've had a number of our charity partners. So there are 15 charities in Grey Bruce that have jointly sponsored the Willpower campaign and work on this project together with Stuart Reid and I. And we've had a number of organizations tell us. We've had inquiries about how do we remember your charity in our wills. So it's definitely working, and we can see increased traffic to the campaign website, to our own websites, and so on. So yeah, it's been a worthwhile project so far.
Yeah. So Kelly, I mean, you and Wlliard have worked together quite a bit, and so have you and I.
Yes.
And we talk about living well, giving well, the living well and giving well. You volunteering is a big part of what living well, giving well is. And right now you are on the Hospital Foundation board still, yes, which I was on. And so you and Wlliard have some dealings together.
Yes, I think that, as you said, we've worked together on the investment, or on the Hospital Foundation, but also now I'm also the chair of the investment committee, and I'm closely connected with Wlliard through that. And I think that whether giving your time or whether you're able to financially assist charities, because we know so many of them have to rely on donors to buy new equipment and to operate, and that there's not government funding that covers all of the needs that the Hospital Foundation and other organizations have. So this is a way to give back to the community, and I've lived here for most of my life, and my family all lives here, so supporting the hospital and knowing that your loved ones and your family and friends rely and need those services is important to give it back. So I'm a partner, I guess, in the Willpower promotion, and also through the hospital able to try to give back and help to raise awareness and raise funds for the much needed projects that they have.
For sure. So how how does it work? Like, does your client, do they come to you and say, Kelly, I need to look at, what am I going to do? Can I give some cash? Is it stocks? What can you give, and how does that then go over to with Wlliard?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. Certainly when we're doing, whether it's just financial planning or estate planning with clients, and they're looking at what does my estate look like, or what does my taxes look like, donating securities in kind is a way to effectively reduce the tax liability. If you're making a number of donations throughout the year and you're using cash, you don't get the same tax advantages of reducing or eliminating the capital gains you may have on some securities that have been in your account. So it's something that I often will initiate as part of the conversation when you're discussing, current tax situation or the future. Sometimes there is a need to look at what happens to my estate upon my passing, because I don't have maybe family that I wish to leave it to, or I'm really passionate about a certain charity or organization. So you can work with your advisor to sort of plan an effective way to give while you're living, and also maybe in the future. There also is, through BMO Nesbitt Burns, and I'm sure other advisors now have the ability to do donor advised funds, where you can set up a fund for as little as $25,000 and donate securities in there and do annual donations. You get one tax receipt a year rather than getting the multiple ones that you may get from different organizations.
For sure.
So
right.
It makes administration a lot easier, and it's very fluid, where you can change or add to it at any time. So there's a couple of different ways, and I think having a trusted advisor that can guide you as to what's the most effective way so you get more of an impact is the best way to go.
We've said many times on this program, hire a professional, be it an accountant or a financial planner or a lawyer. These are people that you need to talk to, and this is an excellent example. Wlliard, I want to ask about Brightshores Foundation. Can you give me an overview of the foundation, and also secondary, are you seeing more donations of stocks and securities than strictly cash donations, which might have been the way of the 80s?
Yeah, sure. So Brightshores Health System is our regional hospital provider in Grey and Bruce, or in the northern half of Grey and Bruce. It's one system of care with 6 hospitals and wellness center with addiction medicine and so on. But there are, in fact, 5 charitable foundations that support Brightshores.
Okay.
And I'm kind of a collaborative employee, just working away at legacy giving, so the whole idea of giving a gift in your will or giving securities, those kinds of things. And also endowment, where you make a gift, it is invested, and it's the income that supports the foundation, the hospital. And it's actually, so Kelly's the chair of my investment committee in Owen Sound. That's the committee that's responsible for the investment of our endowment fund, and it's the most fun day of the year today, because that endowment fund is going to pay out to the hospital, and it's so successful. $680,000 we're giving the hospital today because of that endowment, and so those are legacies that people have left for the hospital, and that's going to continue to generate income and new equipment for the hospital year after year after year. It's fantastic.
And it's necessary, because, as Kelly touched base on at the beginning, is the hospitals, are given money from the government for just their everyday, expenses operating. That's right. I'm not get that word. But as far as
good thing you're here, Kelly.
There we go. But when it comes to the MRI, the CAT scan, any of that, it has to be raised.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes, like Fred said, the 80s, cash. Not that cash isn't still golden, but there are so many other opportunities, and whether it be stocks. I think people, though, it's like, woo, complicated, but that's why we call on.
No, it really has become a common transaction. So I'm thinking 25 years ago was about the start of being able to give securities in kind. And over that time, every year, the number of gifts and the amount of those gifts, added up, that's increasing because it makes so much sense, because it's such a nice arrangement.
Is it complex, Kelly?
Well, and it doesn't need to be individual stocks. Someone could have exchange-traded funds, ETFs, mutual funds. So there's lots of different ways to do it, and you generally should look at the securities that have appreciated in value the most, because that will give you the most tax advantage of donating them. So sometimes there's individuals that are concerned their OAS, or the old age security, is going to be clawed back. By making a charitable donation, you avoid that increase in taxes and may help to receive that income for the rest of the year. So
that was my next question, Kelly.
Yeah.
So I've invested in Enbridge,
yes,
and it's done terrific. I've invested in BCE. It's done horrible.
Yeah, it has.
Okay. So what will be the better donation from my standpoint, or does it depend on the individual?
Yeah, so Enbridge absolutely would be the one if it has more of an appreciated capital gains, because that will eliminate you needing to claim that gain on your income taxes. Okay. So capital gains are only taxed at 50%, but there's still no tax. So you get a full donation for the value. If you bought it for $10,000 and it's worth $25,000 and you donate it to the hospital or a charity, you get the tax receipt for the $25,000, but you eliminate and avoid having to realize that $15,000 gain on your income taxes. So you are better to have an appreciated security.
Enbridge.
But
So
the hospital would still
right
gladly take your BCE as well.
The answer is it depends. You can donate a stock that you've had a loss on as well, and claim that capital loss, but all pretty specific situations that makes sense.
So here's the next question. When we talk to Stuart Reid at the Community Foundation of Grey Bruce, who we'll be seeing a video of in a few moments, they keep the individual assets and it spits out the dividends or the distributions. Yeah. Do you do that at the foundation, or do you cash the security immediately and use it in the foundation?
Yeah, generally if you give a gift of securities to a charity, they're going to liquidate that security as soon as they can. It just minimizes market timing and so on. And that they're going to put that gift to work, right? And most of the time, that gift gets put to work in their annual program. So for us, advised medical equipment. For someone else, that's funding a program that they run, right? So,
do all charities, will they accept stocks in that? Or?
Some of the smaller charities may not have the ability, but you can go through Canada Helps, who is an organization that accepts donations from individuals, and then they will in turn transfer the funds over to. Because if you're a smaller charity, you may not just have the administration or the ability to do that. So it can be orchestrated through Canada Helps.
So, I mean, because I've been sports oriented, I guess, could somebody give stocks to girls hockey?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Canada Helps would be a way to do that.
I
wouldn't say that the Sound Minor Hockey would have the ability to accept that, but
I never thought
I think
of
I've had that conversation with Brian Seaman where he says that's a difficulty for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I've
had a client who he had a music interest, and there was a small local band that he wanted to donate to, so we did it through the Canada Helps, and then they just receive a check from the proceeds, and there's a small percentage Canada Helps keeps for the administration and transaction of it.
Yeah, so I mean, as the younger generation, they're on that computer and they're adept at doing all that stuff by themselves. I mean, I'm of course saying I need to go to my professional, I need to go to my financial advisor, I need to go to my lawyer, my accountant. Can you do it all by yourself?
I think Canada Helps, they could administer that for you.
Okay.
You go to their website and they would have transfer forms that you would download, choose which securities you want to donate.
But they certainly wouldn't have the background from your financial situation of what could
being able to advise you which ones make most sense.
Right.
Mm-hmm. This is Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television. Fred Wallace and Denise Reid. Our guests today are Kelly Haefling from BMO Nesbitt Burns, along with Wlliard VanderPloeg from Brightshores Health Systems and the Foundation. We'll be back. We're going to take a quick break and take a look at a featured video from one of our partners, and it's from the Community Foundation Grey Bruce. Stay with us. You're watching Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Stuart Reid, and I'm Executive Director of Community Foundation Grey Bruce. Community Foundation Grey Bruce benefits the community by providing access to community assets through granting. We accept donations from individuals, from families, from organizations, and we pool all those resources, and that creates an asset base that earns money, and the money we earn we spend in grants. And those go directly to the people in the field that are doing all the good work that supports all aspects of community life, from arts and culture to sports and recreation, education, health and well-being, living standards, housing, the whole spectrum of things that impact us in Grey Bruce. Giving to Community Foundation Grey Bruce is pretty easy. You can visit our website and donate online. We're always there at the office if you want to stop by with a check, a traditional form of giving, or even over the phone we can accept donations. What people don't understand is that we can accept all kinds of different aspects of giving, from life insurance to appreciated securities to RIFs, real estate, you name it, we can make it happen in terms of a gift that's going to benefit the community for generations to come. Giving to Community Foundation Grey Bruce, you might want to consider a gift to our Next 25 fund. It was established on our 25th anniversary, and it provides non-restricted funds to the foundation to be able to respond to community needs as they arise, as we learn about through our vital signs work. It's a great fund that's growing, where our goal is to raise $1 million in non-restricted reserves that are really going to empower us to act. Community Foundation Grey Bruce is one of about 202 community foundations that dot the landscape across Canada, from coast to coast to coast. Almost 90% of Canadians have access to a community foundation in their area, and we're here for good.
Welcome back to Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television. I'm Fred Wallace, along with Denise Reid, and our guest today, Kelly Haefling from BMO Nesbitt Burns, along with Wlliard VanderPloeg from Brightshores Health Systems and the Foundation. We'll be talking to them in just a second, getting back to our program, but we did want to touch for just a second on the Community Foundation Grey Bruce. As Wlliard mentioned earlier today, it's a big day for the foundation here in Owen Sound, but also as it pertains to the Community Foundation Grey Bruce, just want to remind everybody that April 15th is the deadline to get your grants and your submissions in for grants and the springtime grant proceedings that they do with the Community Foundation Grey Bruce. If you want more information, go to communityfoundationgraybruce.com, or you can always call Stuart and the folks at the foundation at 371-7203. And again, there are about 200 different accounts underneath the umbrella of Community Foundation Grey Bruce. It's a great organization, has done super well for many in the city and in our region. And again, that's Community Foundation Grey Bruce.
I wanted to ask Kelly and Wlliard, and because we talked about it in the break a little bit, I get a lot of charitable tax receipts. I'm putting them together, and which I guess is good. I feel good about that. Mm-hmm. However, is there a way that we can, or I could go and give and just, first of all, get like one receipt, and then also, is there a better time of year to be donating?
Well, as far as the one receipt, through Canada Helps, you would get one consolidated receipt, because you would determine what the amount of donations you wanted to do for the year, and then they would divvy them up amongst your chosen charities, and then you get a tax receipt from Canada Helps. So when you're doing your income tax, it's all consolidated in one. We spoke a little bit before about, we have a BMO charitable giving program where you can start your own donor advised fund at a minimum of $25,000, and you can choose which charities you want to be the recipients, and it can be updated at any time.
I was going to ask.
I had a client last week, he calls and he has 2 more charities he'd like to add to it, and it's just an internal agreement. So it saved him from updating his will. Previously he had them designated in his will, but then it would be a legal process to change his will if the charities needed to change. So the charitable giving plan can be set up anonymous if you don't want to have your name on the donations. In his case, he was receiving a lot of emails and solicitation as well. So now he just makes
Who is it?
He just makes one donation, and then it gets dispersed, and then he gets the one tax.
So does he do that through you, or he goes directly right to Canada Helps?
No, that would be done through your financial advisor.
Right.
And again, the minimum amount is there's $25,000. It can continue after if you want it to be a legacy. You could continue to have more money go in as part of your estate. So in this case, when his property sells, he will have more money that goes in and then pay out in perpetuity for 10 years after his passing, so that it will continue to benefit the charities. And I work with his accountant each year to determine how much makes sense for him to donate, because there's only 75% of your income where it's eligible to be deducted each year. So I touch base with the accountant and we determine how much this year do we want to donate, and then they just do it as one withdrawal from his donor advised fund and disperse on his behalf. So he was finding it a little overwhelming, dealing with all of the giving that he wanted to do and was able to do. So this is a way to give him the administration.
And the $25,000, that's your floor to start, and
Yes.
has to be a lump sum to begin with. I can't say I was 20 and not 65. Let's say that I was 20 and I wanted to start and gave you $1,000 a year it's going to be...
It is 20, just because of the administration of
Right.
it. There's not any like legal costs for setting it up. There is a small management fee. The money's invested for you while it's in the foundation, and then each year you can choose how much to disperse from there.
Very good, very good.
So when it comes to the income tax time, I mean, should we be doing it, do we have until we do our taxes, or is it better to do it by the end of the calendar year?
Normally it is calendar year. This year there was an exception because of the postal strike. They did give you some carry forward.
God love the posties, right?
But it's
My
not
father was an inside worker, so that's
But
like a
it's
joke.
not like an RSP where you can, donate up till February 28th and decide if you want to use the previous year. It is calendar year. If you're going to choose when's the better time, I guess if you do it earlier in the year, you're not then claiming potential gains or growth on that investment. But it depends what happens with the market and the value. So
Right.
I'm sure the charities appreciate getting the investments at any time. Sooner is always better, but just considering them is the best decision. And
Wlliard?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the needs that charities have go throughout the year, and year-end giving is that's always the most popular time, and make or break in terms of lots of organizations. But in terms of using it in tax-wise, I just did my taxes last weekend, and we did have receipts dated after the end of the year, and decided, no, I'm just going to tuck them away and save them. We're in that habit now, right? And we do our giving over the course of the year, and always thinking about ways to simplify that and make it better. And ultimately for me, the answer is make sure you tuck the receipt away in somewhere safe that you can find it back again. We had a little adventure filling out the tax return this year with that, but
I have a file, Wlliard,
Yes.
that's 2025 taxes, because at this age, sometimes you forget where you put that receipt. So if you have a file for it, it's good. Now, Wlliard, at the foundation, do people tell you, okay, I've been put the foundation, or I've put whatever in my will? Do people let you know that? Is something that you count on, or?
Yeah, I would say by and large, our experience is that people do tell us. Certainly, I'd say about 50%, and that's a high share of people that in terms of estates that we are realizing over time. We do a bit better than that at others, and maybe that's because we're asking that question,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think more and more that is legacy giving, gift in a will. That's a really important source of revenue for the foundation, right? And that helps us accomplish so much. And you said at the start, it's a great legacy for the community, because when it's your time to use the hospital, you want it to be the best it can be, and being well equipped, giving our nurses and physicians good tools. I think that's always a win.
For sure.
Wlliard, you mentioned that your foundations, or there's a number of health services that are underneath the umbrella. Can you make a distinction with your giving? Let's say that I lived on Scenic Caves Road at Lions Head, and I got great treatment at Lions Head facility or the Wyerton facility. Can I stipulate that my donation goes to those two out of the Brightshores services?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, where it gets a little more challenging is if you had a small hospital like Lions Head and you wanted to benefit a particular department there.
Okay.
So X-ray or physio at Lions Head might be a little more challenging to use the gift. So, but certainly a designation for a site, for a hospital between our communities, that's possible anytime and easily so. Yeah.
Underneath the umbrella, is there a priority project that you're dealing with now, or a piece of equipment that you're after?
I think the current project in the region right now is replacing our CT in Owen Sound, which is a real workhorse because of the regional stroke program and so on. And otherwise, I think what we're currently working on is something pretty practical and basic to the needs of a hospital, and that's bed replacement. So we're replacing a number of beds all across the corporation, just routine things. These things wear out. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Kelly, when your clients come in, do they have a really good idea of who they want to give donations to, or I don't know if you can say, oh, you should do this, or...
Yeah, I think generally people have something, the Humane Society because they love animals, or the hospital because their families used it, or Cancer Society because they've had a family member who has had the disease, etc. But one client that I had, he wanted to know a lot of information on the charities and how much is used for administration, how much actually goes to the particular charity. So we have someone I reached out to within our donor advised fund that provided a lot of information to him and suggestions, because if he wanted to help a certain area but wasn't sure which charity that should be, she was able to break it down for him and provide him with some of that information, which helped make his decision easier.
I think that's totally awesome. I mean, I think people... I think in my heart, or I think people are willing to give and want to give, and whether that's monetarily or whether that's, in your volunteering time. But that kind of knowledge and that kind of help is really good. And I mean, people, unfortunately, or fortunately for the ordinary, there is a connection. The connection makes a big difference on what you want to give to, and whether it's you've had your sibling cancer, whatever. So in a bad but a good way for the charities, that connection is really important.
And I think too, this is what Living Well, Giving Well is all about, that you have particular interests and you have particular interests and we have particular interests, but somebody watching on TV might be totally different, and so seeing your advisor to get that kind of guidance as to what they can do or where they can go with their finances is key.
Yeah, I think it's just making it simple, and as you said, whether it's the one donation, helping clarify which charities would be the ones that they choose to give to, and having the flexibility to adapt to it without having to update a will when there's something that you want to change within your donors that would be received.
That's an interesting, to me, because in my will, or my husband and mine, we've named a few, but you don't have to get your will changed again.
Not if you have the charitable giving program. This client lives in Vancouver. Last week he wanted 2 more charities. I just had to get an email confirmation from him. We're able to do it all through an exchange of email and legal signatures. So it was easier than his previous process of adapting his will each time he wanted to change it. So now,
because people do change it a little, and life changes.
Guy moves on.
Yeah, he has different interests.
Kelly, how do people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about this program at BMO Nesbitt Burns?
So I do have a website, Haefling Wealth Advisory Group. I'm in the Nesbitt Burns office in Owen Sound. Do cover surrounding areas, meeting clients in Collingwood yesterday, so we'll travel for those that prefer to meet in person, but just reaching out, or if you Google Kelly Haefling, it will come up. My attack billets tell me that's what they did before they came to live with me. They just put my name in, and it will tell them a little bit about me and where to find them. So there's no phone book. There's not a.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today on Living Well, Giving Well. And Wlliard, congratulations on the program. Our host charity today is Brightshores Health System, and Wlliard, of course, is connected to the foundation. On our next edition, which will be episode number 30 of Living Well, Giving Well, we'll be joined by Peter Morgan. Peter is a life insurance specialist. He's from the Cooperators, and he'll be on our next edition of Living Well, Giving Well with Rogers Television, Grey County.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 taxi guy. Or you could use the Arrive Alive smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS and Android devices. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.